All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is the very first day of our guided notes. So right now you should have your Word document ready to go. We're going to start off with doing some stuff talking about geography and some of the terms that you guys have already been looking at. So one of the things about geography and the reason why it's so important is you really don't or can't understand history unless you know the physical remnants of an area, right? So what do I mean by that? It's very simple. Knowing the location of an area is vital to how a culture can exist. So, say for instance, if you get, you know, you if you live in a desert, if you don't have water, you're going to die. So, most people settled in the Tigris and Euphrates and the Fertile Crescent because of that. All right, they don't want to live in the middle of a desert because they know that that's what's going to happen. They're in survival mode. So, there's 5 different themes that we're going to talk about in geography. One is called location, one is called place, human environment interaction, movement, and region. Okay, so those are the 5 that you need to get down first and foremost. So location, place, human environment interaction, movement, and region. All right. So let's talk about location first. Location, there's the different types. There's what's called the absolute location, which is the exact position on the globe. So if you were to put latitude and longitude coordinates down, that would be the place of where that location would be. Okay, so so if you were to look on a map and look at it carefully, you see those lines of longitude and latitude. You can find where you're from, you can find where you're going, etc. Okay, so you've got these guys here. All right, these are all, of course, imaginary lines. But latitude are imaginary lines that run parallel to the equator to make finding places in the world easier. All right. There's parallels. See, these are parallels. What you learn from math is these are parallels. They don't intersect at all. All right. And in the middle of the Earth is called the equator. All right. That line that extends all the way across at 0 degrees. Okay. Latitude. Okay. Now there's also lines that go north to south as well, but there's lines of latitude that measure north and south of the equator, 0 to 90 degrees. So it starts at 0 degrees here. You notice these numbers here, they go all the way up to 90 degrees. Okay, pretty simple, right? So that's how location works. Then you've got lines of longitude. All right, so we saw latitude is within a location, they go parallels. All right, longitude is just the opposite. They're imaginary lines that run from the north to the south, all right, between the Earth's 2 poles, all right, the North Pole and the South Pole. So imagine there's an axis or a stick that goes through the Earth's surface, and the center of that would be the North Pole and the South Pole, all right, aka meridians is what they're called, all right. So instead of going this way parallel, they go north and south parallel. All right, and in the middle is the prime meridian that goes right through, if you can see England there, it goes through France and Spain and down through Africa as well. All right, lines of latitude measure distances east and west of the prime meridian at 0 to 180 degrees. All right, so if you notice there, you've got 0 degrees there up to 50, and then all the way up to 90 on this side. But notice, because the world is round, it goes all the way around to 180 on that side. Okay. Now there's also we talked about absolute location, but we also need to talk about relative location. All right, the position of a place in relation to other places. So, example, Alexandria, Virginia is located south of DC. Each place has only one absolute location, but can have multiple relative locations. So you got north of Egypt, south of Turkey, west of the Middle East, east of the majority of the Mediterranean. It's relative, which means it's kind of sort of in that direction. Okay, so absolute is boop, right in that spot. Relative is kind of sort of in that area. It's kind of south of this and east of that. All right. The second type of geography that we're going to talk about is place. Every place on Earth has features that distinguish itself from another place. You got physical characteristics, literally like landforms and water and vegetation. I grew up near Niagara Falls. So that would be a physical characteristic of where I would grow up in a place. And then there's human characteristics, how people live or work, their culture that's involved, their food, their way of dress, their traditions, everything about what makes up you is a part of these human characteristics, which makes up our culture. Okay? Human environment interaction, that's number 3. How human beings have made changes in the environment. All right, example, bridges, canals, rain, gutter, landfill. All right, so if you were to go to the Hoover Dam, that is an example of a human environment interaction. They've done it for the benefit and the safety of everyone's well-being. We've done that in their best interest. Technology, fortunately, has given us the opportunity to learn from some of our mistakes, not all of them, but to make that environment vital to our existence. All right, so that we can be there. This area is located near Las Vegas, and this batch of water comes through here. If this Hoover Dam wasn't here, all of this would be completely flooded. Okay, so we got to keep that in mind. So human environment interaction. Number 4 is movement. The movement of people, goods, and ideas between different places. All right, so you're moving around. Key term to know is cultural diffusion. Now, when we think about culture, we think about people's way of life. People's way of life. So however you decide to worship, however you decide to dress, however you decide to eat, whatever it is that you decide to eat. Remember that location has a big to do with it as well. But remember, people move. They move around. All right. Remember, in the very beginning, people were nomadic, so they went from place to place. First, it was for survival, and when they finally did settle in, all right, they just decided to take what they could and diffuse into their own cultures. All right, so a key term to know is cultural diffusion. It's that process of blending into your own way of life. All right, it's that movement of people, goods, and ideas between different places. That's the reason why we're going to talk about the Silk Road. The Silk Road is going to go through up through China and around and into the Middle East and into Europe. That Silk Road is going to open up so much more cultural opportunities for people because remember, there's no planes, there's no trains, there's not none of that going on yet. So we have to keep that in mind. So people from Europe don't know each other from Japan. It just doesn't work that way, especially North America as well. You were talking about Native Americans over here. They don't know anything about what's going on over here. All right, so that cultural diffusion, that movement of people is a part of movement. All right, and number 5 is regions. All right, Canada and the United States is going to be a lot different than sub-Saharan Africa when it comes to regions. They're groups of places with at least one common characteristic. All right, Canada and the U.S. is going to have a very similar type of climate, not necessarily Florida to New Brunswick or even Quebec. All right, but they do have similarities on some levels. Different, the same animals, the same types of trees, etc. All right, so if you look down here, you got different realms. You got Europe, and you got Russia, which is the former Soviet Union. All right, all of these areas here, all right, all are a part of these regions that we look at to keep tabs on. All right. Now, the next thing I want you to do is to use your worksheet with the map projections to take notes on different projections. Okay. Globes are the most accurate way to represent the Earth. The Earth is round, and so are globes. Okay? All right, but if you put a globe down on a piece of paper and squish it, all right, it's going to make it look like it's flat, but it's not. It's round. All right, there's different types of projections. You got Mercator, or Mercator rather. This is the most distorted projection of the Earth because the areas near the poles are stretched out. Images are accurate and well defined, if you notice. So this 0 here is still a prime meridian, even though it looks like it's supposed to be round, and this area of the equator wraps around, if you will, all right, to the outskirts of the Earth. Okay, and you've got Robinson projection. Shape and size are somewhat distorted. Areas near the poles appear flatter than they are. All right, down in here. This is not a flat area. This is a round area. Land and eastern western areas are accurate. All right, so these lines here, you notice they're kind of bubbled. They're supposed to be parallel. All right, but they're not. But these areas, these latitude lines, are parallel. That's what's the Robinson projection. It just kind of gives you that idea of the roundness of the Earth. Now, there's different types of maps, and this is really important, guys. This is really important once you get into to world history and you get into World History 2 and USVA as well. You kind of define your civilization by where you're at. All right, and there's different maps that depict different areas. Physical number one is one of the most important. If you're looking for something like a river or a mountain or a stream or whatever it is, like an ocean, if you will. All right, you're going to use a physical map. All right, a physical map depicts physical features. All right, mountains, rivers, and lakes, and the elevation is shown by shading and changing colors. All right, if you look at this map, I know that this is a map of the United States. All right, this area out here. All right, you're looking at. All right, you're looking at the Mississippi River. All right, I can tell that is because I know that this area here it doesn't have a city or a state name on it. It's physical. It just shows all the physical areas of the earth. Okay, now a political map does a lot of good as well, but you don't want to use a political map when you're trying to find a river. All right, these guys show the features determined by people, the state and national boundaries, the capital cities. All right, these are all when you're looking for a specific city, if you're looking for a specific state, if you're looking for a specific country, if you're looking for a specific capital, okay, they're all going to get shown on here. Okay, that's really, really, really important that you understand that. And finally, you got special purpose maps. All right. If you want to know specifically, their maps are used to display specific information or data. All right, like a road map. All right. All right. You really, if you want information on a road map, you can get it on a particular special purpose map. Vegetation, population density, natural resources, election results. You're not going to get this on a physical map. These are special in terms of how they roll. Okay, so that's our situation. This is our notes for today. Remember physical, remember political types of maps are really, really important to understand the difference between, and we'll go into depth again moving forward as we go. All right, thanks a lot for listening, and make sure you get those notes done, and have a great day.